Video games, a form of entertainment that has become popular in recent years. Video game stories used to be as simple as a plumber going off to rescue a princess. But in recent years, video games have brought to life worlds, characters, and stories that have made great impacts on gamers and fans, as much as any movie or television show ever could. Today's guest is a gamer and aspires to one day write stories for video games as powerful as the ones he grew up with. The Humanities Mass Communications Department at Norwalk Community College presents The New Directors, the show that introduces you to television's future writers, directors, and personalities. And now, join our host, Felix Brito, to meet the next new director.
Thank you for joining us today in the edition of the New Directors. All the people involved in this program are students in the television production course and are directors, switching, controlling audio, operating cameras, and acting as a talent for the first time today. The guests you are about to meet in this show are students who were not on cameras, are behind the scenes working hard to bring this program to you with as few mistakes as possible. Each student will write for different productions. This program will give them the chance to talk about themselves, the production they have created, and give them the chance to get to know them and enjoy some of the work they've done during the semester. Our guest tonight is a passionate video game player with experience to write stories to be made into movies that video games are bringing to the same joy to others and see his own ideas brought to life. We would like you to meet the guest today, Andrew Shukovski.
Hi, Felix.
Right. Andrew. Right. What are some of your favorite games? What fascinates you with video game stories?
Well, you don't normally think that video games would be able to tell great stories as the same way books or movies can, but they really can. One story that kind of stands out to me is in Grand Theft Auto 4. It's a great game. Most people, when they think of Grand Theft Auto, a lot of negative opinions come to mind. But in GTA 4, there's this. You eventually meet this one character named Dwayne who. He's had a rough career. One of his best friends turns against him, and he's really depressed and and pretty close to suicide. But you actually help him in the game, and you help him overcome some obstacles, and you cheer him up a little bit, and he's not suicidal anymore, and he helps you with your missions later. So that just kind of stood out to me that you were able to make that character's life so much better. I also really like role-playing games, games like Dragon Age or Fallout or Skyrim, games where you have to make all these choices and you pretty much build a life for your character, or you decide for them where they're gonna live, who they're gonna marry, and you decide what kind of warrior they're gonna be, like a warrior or a mage or a rogue, and you make all these choices for them. And so in a way, in some of these games, it's kind of like you're playing God. Like you are God. You're deciding the lives for all these people, just like the writer of a story would, or the screenwriter for a movie does. So that's just a very thrilling experience for me, and so. That's why I love writing so much, because I just love being able to play with characters and do all these things with them and make them do all these things, and it's just a lot of fun.
All right. I used to play that game, so it's really cool. Could you tell us why you decided to take the TV production course?
Well, see, movies, video games, and TV sort of form this trinity of entertainment for me. Like they're all, I don't know, these three things that I find most entertaining. You know, all three of these things just take me to new worlds. You know, I took a film class in high school that's a lot like this one, and I just fell in love with making movies. I had so much fun with the projects I did with my friends and writing these stories with them, and I just kind of want to keep going with that and see where it goes.
Cool.
Yeah.
What are some of the most useful things you've learned in this production course?
I learned all the different names of different camera movements, like panning and zooming in and out. I also learned about all the important paperwork that goes into making these movies, like storyboards and, camera shots, like camera shot lists, diagrams, shot sheets, edit decision lists, and I also learned about how to use Avid and how to keep shots consistent.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Tell us about the productions you created for the TV1 class, like Student Studies, The Cup of Tea, the Natural Project, and the Orange Project.
Well, the Student Studies project was the shortest and simplest of my projects. It was the first time, it was my first time writing up a storyboard, camera shot list, and camera shot diagram for this class. And because the whole video was what was mapped out and planned out so carefully in these 3 documents, I was given a very clear picture in my head about how it would all come together, about how we would shoot it. That's my dear friend Austin. He's a very good actor. He's a film student himself. My Cup of Tea video was also very short, and so because each shot was mapped out and planned out carefully, it was also the first time I added a soundtrack into when I was editing, so that really made it something special for me. And here you see my brother making his tea. Fun acting here in this. In the Nature Project, I played with camera shots on a more technical level. I used the shift focus technique, panning shots, zoom in and outs, and the poor man's dissolve. You can see me using it there with that one plant. This one I didn't, honestly wasn't as scripted or planned out as carefully as the others, so it came together maybe not as well as the others did. Orange of the Sith, my Orange project, is the project that I had the most fun with and the most ambitious one. I just love Star Wars, and here I just let my inner fanboy run loose, and I really got creative, and we kept the hands out of the field of view when the characters were using the Force, so it would look more like the objects were floating on their own. I also had fun with the music tracks and sound effects.
Cool. Now, I know you had a project that you felt was your best. Tell us about it, and we'll watch a sample of the video and the music you selected.
I'm really proud of my Student Studies video because it was really short and simple, and I paid a lot of attention to detail when writing the storyboard shot list and diagram. My actor and I had a lot of time to plan out each shot and get all the takes that we needed. Every shot was perfect, and the sequence was put together perfectly in editing, and you can easily tell what the actor was thinking at each moment. So my Orange project was the one I had the most fun with, but this one I think came together best.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. You also mentioned various things you've learned in this course. What was the most important skill you've learned, and how would you like to put it in use?
I'd say writing storyboards, camera shot lists, and diagrams was the most important skill that I learned in this class. The more carefully mapped out the story and each shot was, the smoother the shooting went. So now I know it's much more important to do all my homework when I write the story or a script for a movie or video game. All this paperwork is really tedious, but it's all really necessary. It all really makes the shooting and everything that comes after go more easily, more smoothly.
All right. Today we got to meet someone who showed us the video games can tell stories just as great as movies or TV can. As a new TV director, he hopes to apply that we have learned in the NCC write and direct dramatic and movie stories that will hopefully be realized on the screen either as movies or video games. We would like to thank Andrew Shukovski for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Alright. We hope you enjoyed meeting one of the television future directors, and we hope you will continue to join us this week to watch your progress. Thank you and have a great night.
All right.
This has been The New Directors with your host Felix Brito, directed by Omar. I'm your announcer, Austin Stearns. The New Directors is a Norwalk Community College student production.
Before doing the second one, because they were things that I didn't know.
Video games, a form of entertainment that has become popular in recent years. Video game stories used to be simple, like Plumber going off to rescue a princess. But in recent years, video games have brought to life worlds, characters, stories that have made a great impact on gamers and fans, as much as any movie or television show ever could. Today's guest is a gamer and aspires to one day write stories for video games as powerful as the ones he grew up playing. The Humanities Mass Communications Department at Norwalk Community College presents The New Directors, the show that introduces you to television's future writers, directors, and personalities. And now to join our host, Felix Brito, to meet the next new director.
Thank you for joining us today's edition of The New Directors. All the people involved with this program are students in the television production course and are directing, switching, controlling audio, operating cameras, and acting as talent for the first time today. The guests you will meet on this show are students who, when not on cameras, are behind the scene working hard to bring this program with few mistakes as possible. Each student has written and directed 4 different productions. This program will give them the chance to talk about themselves and the productions they have created, and give the chance to know them and enjoy some of the work they have done during the semester. Our guest today is a passionate video game player who aspires to write stories to be made into movies and video games to bring the same joy to others and see how his own ideas brought to life. We would like you to meet today's guest, Andrew Shukovski.
Hi, Felix. Thanks for having me.
Hi. So, what are some favorite games and what fascinates you about video game stories?
Well, just video games. You don't normally think they can tell a story as great as like a book or a movie can, but there are really some good stories out there in video games. Like for example, in Grand Theft Auto 4, there's this. Now, normally when people hear Grand Theft Auto 4, they get a lot of bad things come to mind. But in GTA 4, there's this one subplot where you meet a character named Dwayne, who he's had a tough life and he's depressed, and one of his best friends has betrayed him. But and he's actually kind of suicidal. But in the game you help him get through a few things. And eventually you cheer him up, and he's not suicidal anymore. So and just the fact that you had that big of an impact on that character is that just really impressed me. I like RPGs too, games where you go to this world and you like games like Skyrim and Fallout, Dragon Age, Mass Effect, games where you make all these choices and you choose a class and you create a party, you choose your friends, you decide where you're going to live, and who you're going to marry, all sorts of things, and create this create a life, basically. It's almost like playing God with all these characters, just like the same way a writer of a book or a screenwriter for a show or a movie plays God with all the characters in the show, you know. So that was just that. I've always had fun with that, with just playing God with these characters, sort of, and.
Cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Could you tell us why you decided to take this TV production course?
Well, movies, video games, and TV sort of make this trinity of entertainment, let's call it, for me. They're my three favorite forms of entertainment, you could say. I took a film class in high school and I loved it, so I kind of wanted to keep going with that here. I feel like by learning how to write for a movie, I can apply the skills that I've learned to writing for video games as well. And plus, if writing video games doesn't work out, then maybe writing for movies and TV could be a backup plan for me, you know?
All right. What are some of the most useful things you have learned in the TV production course?
I've learned all the different names of camera movements, like panning and zooming in and out, tilting. I've learned about all the important paperwork that goes into making a movie, like storyboards, camera shot lists, list diagrams, shot sheets, edit decision lists, those sorts of things. And I also learned how to use Avid, and I also learned about how to keep a shot consistent, those sorts of things.
Cool. Tell us about the productions you have created for the TV1 class, Student Studies, the Cup of Tea Project, the Natural Project, and the Orange Project.
Well, the Student Studies project was obviously the shortest and most simple of all my projects. It was my first time in this class writing a storyboard, a camera shot list, and a camera shot diagram. And because the whole video was mapped out so carefully and planned so carefully in these three documents, I was given a very clear picture in my head about how it would come together and how me and my friend would film it. That's my friend Austin. He goes to another school. He's very into film too. My T project was also very short, and likewise, each shot was mapped out and planned very carefully. But the difference is this is the first time that titles and music were added. So that was something that I did not do in Student Studies. You know, stepping up ladder. In the Nature project, I played with the camera and the shots on a more technical level. I used the shift focus technique, panning shots, zoom ins and outs, and the poor man's dissolve. You can see right now I'm doing it on that plant right there. Now this one wasn't as carefully scripted or planned out as the others were, so editing was a bit more of a challenge. My Orange project, The Orange of the Sith, was the one that I had the most fun with and my most ambitious project. I love Star Wars, and here I just let my inner fanboy run loose and really got creative with it. We kept the characters' hands out of the field of view, so it looks like when they use the Force, it looks more like the objects are floating on their own. I also had fun with the music and the tracks and the sound effects.
That's very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know you have one project that you feel was the best. Tell us about it, and we'll watch a sample of the video and music you selected.
I'm really proud of my Student Studies video because it was really short and simple, and I paid a lot of attention to detail when writing the storyboard, shot list, and diagram. My actor and I had a lot of time to plan out each shot carefully and get all the takes we needed. Every shot was perfect. The sequence was put together perfectly, and editing put together perfectly in editing, and you can easily tell what the character is thinking in each movement. It really taught me that all this paperwork. It might seem really tedious, having to pause, having to stop shooting to write everything down, but it's all very necessary, and it really does make the shooting easier if done correctly. If you do, and it's all planning ahead, you know.
Cool. You also mentioned a variety of things you've learned in this course. What was the most important skill you learned, and how would you like to put it in use?
I'd say writing storyboards and camera shot lists and diagrams was the most important skill I learned. The more carefully mapped out the story of each shot was, the smoother the shooting went. So I know it is much more important to do my homework when writing the story or a script for a movie or video game.
Alright, today we got to meet who showed the video games can tell a story and just the greatest of movies and TV can. As a new TV director, he hopes to apply that he has learned here in NCC to write, direct dramatic movies and stories that will probably be realized on screen, either as movies or video games. We would like to thank Andrew Shukovski for joining us today.
It's been a pleasure, Felix.
Absolutely. We hope you enjoyed meeting one of television new directors, and hopefully you enjoy this and have a great day.
This has been The New Directors, with your host, Felix Brito, directed by Omar Nahara. I'm your announcer, Austin Stearns. The New Directors is a Norwalk Community College student production.